More international rescue teams are arriving in Venezuela, but hopes of finding survivors are fading after Wednesday's earthquakes. The death toll has risen above 1,400 and is still rising. A missing persons website has more than 46,000 people listed as unaccounted for. Diana Flora Padron Navoa grew up in Caracas and she joins us now from Canberra. Diana Navoa, welcome. So just how heartbreaking has it been for you to see the impact of these earthquakes in Venezuela over the past week?
Well, it affected my family directly because my aunt, 77 years old, lived in a building that collapsed. Of course, I'm happy because she survived, but the trauma of losing everything, it's very complicated. Also, the person she lived with, the housekeeper, was found dead today. For a couple of days, we were looking for her, and we just finally found her today without life. So,
yeah,
of course...
we're just bringing up that picture now, and maybe you can
Yes.
point out your aunt and the housekeeper in that photo.
Yes, so in that photo, you have my father, then my aunt, my grandmother, my mother, and Maritza. Maritza with the red shirt is the person that was found dead today. And that's actually the apartment that collapsed. So my aunt was exactly in that living room when the building fell down, and she managed to survive by exit through the window that you see actually in that image.
Wow. And so how long was she trapped inside the building?
A couple of hours. So as soon as the building collapsed, she was trying to find air, and she told me that everything collapsed on top of her, so she had to move to the back. And as she was crawling, she managed to be taken outside. I would also like to say that the main issue now in Venezuela is that it is very difficult to organize the magnitude of the disaster. For my family, it was difficult to find my aunt because she was taken to a hospital, but the name was not written properly. And we spent a couple of days actually not knowing if she was alive.
And so what floor was she on in that building?
The 7th floor.
Wow. And did the building it totally collapsed?
Yes, and now that I'm telling you that it's the 7th floor, you have to imagine that Maritza was found dead today at the 7th floor, but the rescue teams are still looking for the people underneath, so the rest of the floors, and there's this lack of resources of heavy machinery. And it's not only that neighborhood. My parents, for example, are at the moment staying in a church. Their building is still standing, but it's not appropriate to go inside the building. So this neighborhood has also been evacuated, and they're staying in a church.
And your aunt, I just want to go back to your aunt for a second. You mentioned, she was trapped in the building. Was she? You said it was for a couple of hours, but was it actually longer? Was it a couple of days she was in the building, or did she get out pretty quickly?
Well, she got out pretty quickly. The problem is that it was hard to find her because she was taken to the hospital.
Right.
She stayed in the ICU 2 days. Then she was taken to a recovery session. And by the time she got to the hospital, she had high blood pressure. I mean, everything was checked. But the issue was that we actually had a little bit of a struggle getting in contact with her because she was at the hospital, but we didn't know. It took us 4 days to actually find her.
And how well did you know Maritza, and how are you feeling about this news today? That she didn't survive?
This is family. I mean, Maritza has been with us since she was 15 years old. So she has always lived there. And for us, it's just the loss of a family member. And, well, my aunt, I think the only hope that we have is that my aunt said that as soon as the building collapsed, she was calling her. She was, screaming her name, Maritza, Maritza, and she never answered. And when she was found, she got a big injury in the head. So what we're thinking is that at least she didn't suffer.
Yeah.
most likely the death was just immediately.
And is this where of all the areas in Venezuela, the most we have seen is from La Guaira, just to the north of Caracas. Where was your aunt's building?
So this building is in Caracas, in
Right.
Altamira, and that building in 1967 actually survived a previous earthquake. It was the only building that survived that earthquake in 1967, and you can imagine that it was damaged
Yeah.
from that earthquake. So it's quite understandable that it collapsed so quickly. And the thing is that there were two earthquakes separated by 39 seconds. The first one was 7.2 and the second one was 7.5.
Yeah. And have you spoken to your aunt at all?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
So at the moment, she's been out of the hospital. Today, she's staying with my uncle. So her brother, they're twins. And well, the issue at the moment is just to get everything sorted because she lost everything. So she needs to get ID, a mobile phone, a computer. That's what I'm trying to do from here.
And did she describe for you what it was like at that moment when the building collapsed around her and
Yes,
how she was able to get out?
Yes, so they were walking outside. They were walking with the dog. The dog also survived. And as soon as they entered the apartment, Marixa turned to the left to her bedroom, and this was in the middle of the building. And my aunt kept walking inside, so she got to the living room when the building collapsed. That's the reason why my aunt managed to exit the window from the living room. But Maritza got stuck in her bedroom, and her bedroom had a private toilet, so she didn't have access to a direct window. That's why I think it was hard for her to, escape this situation.
And did your aunt describe the floors and the building were
Yes.
like pancaked together and she had to crawl out, or?
Yes, she actually told me, and I think this is just an example of how strong she reacted. She was telling me, well, you're gonna laugh, but I just remember a Turkish program, because in this Turkish program, she saw this image of a person looking for the air. So at the moment that everything collapsed, everything was very dark. She didn't actually know where was up and where was down. She used the saliva on her hand just to feel if the saliva was touching the other hand in order to know where was down. Then she realized that her back was the part facing down, so she couldn't turn. So she was trying to use the arms to go back, trying to follow the air. And then she found a small hole. And through that hole, she started throwing bricks. And that's how she was found.
Wow. So people actually had to rescue her, go inside and rescue her?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And so all thanks to a Turkish soap opera.
Yes.
But
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And Diana, you mentioned before the people are only starting to realise the magnitude of this now. The death toll at the moment, it officially is 1,450. After speaking to people, the family and friends there, and seeing the images you've seen, do you expect that death toll to rise significantly?
Yes, at the moment, as a doctor, I'm trying to help with an organization that is providing telehealth, so medical appointments for free for the people in Venezuela. So I have been having conversation with patients in Venezuela. So with this opportunity of speaking with the people there, I've heard how difficult it is for the Venezuelans to have access to a hospital now, and how desperate they are, because particularly there are a lot of mothers that know that their children are still inside the
collapsed buildings.
The collapsed buildings, exactly. And the main issue at the moment is the lack of heavy machinery that could speed up this process, because I was just telling you that Marisa was found today and she was in the 7th floor. There's still other floors that will need to be explored, and there are many buildings. So in La Guaira state, the international airport has also collapsed. The building is no longer standing, and there are more than 100 buildings that were completely destroyed. So it is quite difficult. There are a lot of people from La Guaira that are actually being transferred to hospitals in Caracas because they don't have the capacity to deal with this level of disaster.
And how much ongoing help is Venezuela going to need, do you think, considering the scale of this?
I think this is going to be months of years. So both of my fathers are my father and my mother are architects, and they have been doing evaluations to the structure of many buildings. And you have to think that there are many schools, university buildings that perhaps didn't collapse, but they are no longer functionable. And it's also the fact that many roads has been blocked. So the city itself is in total chaos at the moment. And the effort to actually build a city with this magnitude, it's going to take months. I mean, perhaps a couple of years.
Well, Diana Flora Padron Navoa, I'm very sorry for your loss of Maritza, but thanks so much for talking to us from Canberra.
Yes, thank you.
The US and